going forward. And for that, we are now joined by Gautam Chikermane, who's the Vice President of ORF. Hi, Mr. Chikermane. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, first up, this breakdown in diplomacy, this is unprecedented. It is never seen before episode that happened in front of the media and, of course, the global stage. It has wider ramifications going ahead, but let's focus on the moot point. What's Donald Trump's plan to stop the war? Is Trump sincere about ensuring peace?
I think he is very sincere about stopping the war. I also think that there was a far greater rhetoric in the pre-election run-up to his presidency, and now the actions that are coming may not really match the rhetoric of the pre-electoral speeches. Having said that, his sincerity is beyond doubt. I think he's extremely sincere about bringing peace, both at Russia and in Israel. Talking about only Russia, I think he has had conversations or is engaging with Russia as well as with Ukraine. But I think he's also finding out that it's not so easy, and that both neither Russia nor Ukraine are going to give in without a fight. And so he may need to play being a peacekeeper or a peacemaker in such a volatile situation where there are other than the actual war, other than the actual destruction, other than the actual deaths that are happening of soldiers as well as of civilians. I think he has to also negotiate personal egos that are behind this war, and notably that of the European Union. I think they went out saying that this war has to be finished, and they brought out a whole lot of moral conversations into the discourse without really standing up and fighting. So I think this whole thing, Trump is breaking it down. And he's saying that, okay, let's go for peace. Now, Putin is going to extract his pound of flesh, and Ukraine is going to prevent that pound of flesh being extracted. This is a work in progress, in my opinion. But also, I'm optimistic that peace is on its way. I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful, as well as optimistic that peace will happen. At what cost, we don't know. Earlier, too, during the World War II, when the peace happened, certain countries had to face losses, others they made the rules and so on. So I think there will be a similar peacemaking process this time as well.
Right. But Gautam, Zelensky has also tweeted on a peace deal on minerals that can happen, but he's again expressed the need to have security guarantees. Now, why should that not be tenable given a ceasefire without security guarantees is dangerous for Ukraine, and that has been the stance of the Western leaders?
I'm not very certain, but I think that if the security is in the hands of United States, and I don't think Ukraine is in any position to seek or demand things, because Ukraine has been losing territory. European Union is just playing with conferences or with words, with moral statements that war should end, this, that, and the other. There is no enforcement mechanism. There are no people. There is no soldiers. Even the equipment has not been sent. So I don't think Ukraine has very many offers. I think Ukraine at this stage should make good the losses that it has had and step down and try and bring peace in the region. Of course, in that process, Zelensky or Ukraine will demand the highest that they can. But whether they will get it or not, we don't know. Suppose America were to back out, then Ukraine is extremely vulnerable today, given that EU has nothing to offer. This is not the old America. This is an America where the old rules are being demolished. This is an America where a new disruption, not only in economic, but also in the strategic space, has been unleashed. And I don't think we're going to have a lot of straight talking, which seems a little awkward, and you feel sort of as though it's out of sync and out of tune and impolite. But I think that's the new United States, like it or not. And if you want United States, perhaps you may want to listen to what it wants. The loss of territory is a terrible thing. The loss of lives is worse. So I think it's between a rock and a hard place for Ukraine.
Well, also, Gautam, this incident has also raised many questions on US's evolving foreign policy on conflicts and alliances. Is this breakdown of the previous going to be the new normal?
What I see is that the old international rules-based order is probably coming to an end, or the end of that international rules-based order has begun. It began with China when it tried to use technological intrusions, when it tried to use wolf diplomacy, when it tried to use debt trap diplomacy over the past 5 to 6 years. It then accelerated with Russia invading Ukraine. And now with America under Trump, it's got magnified, it's got scaled up to a level that we haven't seen since 1945, when the old international rules-based order was introduced. Those rules were written by the victors of World War II. India, for instance, did not have a say in that. A Security Council was made with 5 permanent members, which you would know: United States, Soviet Union, China, France, and United Kingdom. Now, UK and France are out of any big game or great power games today. That leaves the 3 big powers, China, US, and Russia, who are in the Security Council and have vetoes, running a security apparatus which they themselves are breaching. So I think that order has broken, and with Trump coming, perhaps there will be a counterbalance in that breaking. For instance, this entire thing about tariff wars, it goes against the whole WTO apparatus. So he doesn't believe in WTO. So rule of law has been changed into rule of whims, and whatever he thinks is fair for an America first discourse is what he will do, is what he is doing. And I see no problem in that, other than the fact that we didn't sign on for this in 1945. When this rules-based order breaks down, it's going to impact not only our present, for instance, Ukraine, but it's also going to impact our future. So you will see far more bilateral engagements happen rather than multilateral engagements.
Right. Also, Gautam, the de-dollarization, many experts say that that's not an immediate threat. Now, after Trump said he will impose tariffs on countries which are looking at that policy move. Now, Brazil's President Lula saying that BRICS will stay the course, as well the de-dollarization. What's your take on that?
I agree with those experts. It is not a threat. I don't think so. Let us take the BRICS that you mentioned right now. Do you think we are going to agree to a yuan? I don't think. What is the alternative? At the moment, there is none. So I don't think de-dollarization is happening anywhere other than in some reports by analysts. Now, having said that, I think de-dollarization is the need of the day. We have seen how the abuse of dollarization, dollar and financial systems was done in the Ukraine war, when the SWIFT system ousted Russian banks out of it. And overnight, Russia was out of the financial system. I don't think any country would want that. I don't think India wants it. At the same time, if US wants to bully the rest of the world by threatening to oust them out of the SWIFT system, de-dollarization is a future foretold. It will happen. There will be new ways to do deals. So I think if Trump wants to restrain de-dollarization, he has to behave himself and act in a manner that befits a global currency. If he is going to act in an America first manner and demand global returns from it, that's not going to happen. It may take time, and it's a necessary to get an alternative. But the fact is that you can't go too far by weaponizing the dollar against every other country. It will not work. At some point, it will implode on your face.
Well, agreed, Gautam. But Donald Trump has come across as rather a bit of a disruption, if you will. How should India look at dealing with a volatile Trump and his policy, especially around tariffs?
How do you deal with a disruption? How do you deal with the 2008 financial crisis? How did we deal with China when there was a border tension? How do we deal with Bangladesh, which is killing Hindus, exterminating Hindus like a genocide? How do you deal with the rogue state of Pakistan, which every other day sends terrorists and whose whole mission is to attack India? So I think India is pretty used to conflicts. It has got the habit. It has engaged. We have a strong security apparatus, which both EU as well as America need in the Indian Ocean region as a counterweight to China, though not to fight China, but as a counterweight. India is part of Quad. So I think if you bring all the security relationships, all the defense relationships together, tariffs is a very small issue. Having said that, reducing tariffs is good for India. Finally, I think my sense is that the government will be talking to all the major industry associations or captains of industries, are notably automobiles, maybe a little bit on agriculture, though I'm not so very sure, to bring down the tariffs. And I think they've had this protection for a long time. Maybe it's time for it to go. But if it doesn't go, let us say India decides that we don't want to reduce our tariffs, and America increases tariffs on India. It has already increased tariffs on Mexico and Canada.
All right, Gautam, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us and weighing in on the issue. We will let you go on that note.